Oh, wow. Something went wrong. YouTube is not playing yet. What the hell?
It's a little slow.
Well, real slow. It's never this slow. Oh, there it goes. Finally.
There it goes.
Oh, my
goodness. It's way behind. Way behind. Must be tapping into some of that JimBob brain energy or something.
I changed my picture.
You did? Okay. Yeah, but it's too late because nobody can see it now until your stream's over. Old Joe's here. Hi, Old Joe. Anyway.
It's showing up on my content list, so it should show up on the internets.
Good. So I thought we'd talk about physicalism today. And what does a physicalist think? Like, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool physicalist. I do everything scientifically and physicalistically. Physicalistically. I can't stop. Let's see. What can I do? Start my camera?
Well, everybody
don't see much of a reason not to see things, physically, or shall we say naturalistically, according to, in concordance with laws of physics or whatever, until somebody shows me a really good reason not to. And I've not really been shown a really good reason not to.
Nope. Here to say, I saw that, Old Joe. Thank you for
everybody that's watching my channel knows I like looking into all kinds of stuff, but I haven't, and not just one category, all kinds of categories. You name it, and I can probably give a materialistic explanation. They were just talking about an NDE on this one video. I woke up. I was laying in bed and I woke up and I couldn't move. And it's like, it's sleep paralysis. No, it's a demon. It's like, no, it's sleep paralysis. No, it's a demon. It's like, okay. So yeah, until I get something that's really a head scratcher, and I haven't come across that yet.
God, I have sleep paralysis about every 3-4 months, and I've never been, and I try to get somebody to wake me up. So I try to make noises. I try to talk. And I was at a cabin in Wisconsin with my 2 sons, and I had a bad episode of sleep paralysis. And I was trying to scream at the people in the room to wake me up, to shake me. And my sons were there in my dream. And my son came and knocked on my door, and he said, "What the hell's going on?" Because I guess I was moaning and making all these weird noises. He said it sounded demonic. Like, yeah, I think that was the word he used to describe it. So apparently I was actually able to make some vocalizations, but I couldn't move, and I feel like I'm dying, like I can't breathe.
I've had it a couple of times, and I tried to do the same thing. I was trying to say something to my wife. I don't know if she heard me or not because she didn't wake up. So
yeah, well, that's the first time I ever had it confirmed that I actually can make some noise, but it doesn't come out like you can't talk, you can't move your tongue or your jaw or anything. It's
if you just when it hits, you just got to say, okay, it's hitting me. Just give it a second.
Yeah,
and then it passes.
So DimBulb is over there going off on feminism again. And so I asked the question, does JimBob lose his shit every time a woman talks? And he said, well, not all the time. I think is what he said. No, just most of the time. It's just, I think his problem is that if a woman shares an opinion, it really pisses him off. It really irritates him.
That seems to irritate a lot of the big mouths on YouTube when a woman goes on there and she's smart and learned and she just shuts them down, and then they just have to go to the low blows on them.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. Let's see if I can get rid of this guy. Gotta get rid of this guy. Where's that guy? Oh, there's my little notepad. Okay. So there's something in logic that you do, like, okay, you have premise 1, and then blah, blah, blah. Premise 2, blah, blah, blah. Premise 3, blah, blah, blah. And then with inference rules, there's about 17 of them, I think. I can't remember exactly. You start to do these, like you'll say, okay, by P1 and P2, then I can say this, right? And by and then you number this, and then by P1 and P3, okay, then I can infer this. So now I got number 2, and then I can go number 3. I can go by 3 and what should I use? 3 and P1. By some inference rule, I can do this. But now here's the thing. There's something you can do in logic called a provisional assumption. And a provisional assumption is something that you just make up that you think is going to work. Okay. And then what you do is you take your provisional assumption and you combine it with your premises and your previous logic, and you figure out whether or not there is a contradiction or not. And if there is no contradiction, if you can support that provisional assumption in some way, then you can now use it. So now you turn it into basically just another statement that you can use in further logic. And it's kind of a mind-bending thing when you first get into a logic class and you go through those proving arguments with, like you're given a conclusion, and then you're given the premises, and you have to figure out how to logically go from the premises to the conclusion using these inferential rules. I don't think it's called inference. Maybe it is, but anyway, use these rules to get down to the conclusion. And if you can, then you've proven your conclusion. Then it's like you go ... therefore the conclusion is correct. But you can do this thing called the provisional assumption. So the whole thing about physicalism, because it starts in the middle, is that you create a provisional assumption that physicalism is true, that you're going to be able to explain everything with methodological naturalism. So physicalism is true. And if somebody starts arguing with you and they say, oh, you can't just, you have to prove that. Yeah, no, you don't. No, idiots. You don't have to prove your fucking provisional assumption. Your provisional assumption has to match all further things that you come up with, that you talk about, and there can be no contradiction. And if you find no contradiction for that physical assumption, then so far you can tentatively accept physicalism. So basically, we want to know stuff, right? We want to know, like, what is truth? What is meaning? What is aboutness? What is consciousness? Aboutness is called intentionality with a T. That means when you think a thought, it's about something. Like if I think a thought about my dog Dozer, it's about Dozer, right? So that's aboutness, or intentionality with a T. Okay, better write that down.
Real quick, Closer to Truth just had a short video out about mind, brain, consciousness.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we want to know what truth is, what meaning is. We want to know what propositions are. We want to know what all the things in human language are, and all the things that humans do. Like humans, like right now, we're squeaking at each other. You know, like some aliens came down, they'd listen to us and they'd say, oh, they're kind of squeaking at each other, you know, so they're making this noise. So then we would study, you know, the larynx and the throat and the breathing and how, you know, basically how speech is made. We'd learn all that stuff. So there's a whole bunch of things that we want to know. And we make the provisional assumption that we're going to do it with methodological naturalism or physicalism. So what we want to know is we've got a subject here that we will call subject A, and perhaps we have another subject here called subject B, okay? And we want to know what it means, what truth means to these two subjects. Did I spell that right? I did. My brain ain't working quite right. But now here's the thing, okay? We're going to have a conversation. Scott, Dave, and Speed are going to have a conversation about this thing above this line, right? So we're going to be talking about these things, okay? At no point. Now, here's how you do philosophy right, so you don't end up in circles, okay? At no point do you talk about what's happening in Dave's mind or Scott's mind. I can't talk about that. Oh, Speed, I better do that.
Stay out of my mind, Speed.
Yeah, stay out of your mind. We can't talk about each other, okay? We're not talking about each other. We're talking about how physicalism works for these two hypothetical beings that we're looking at in the third person. So this is all third person stuff. That's how you do physicalism, and that's how you do philosophy on physicalism. You never fucking do first person subjective experience, right? However, now all of a sudden Scott will say, well, I see the color red, and I'm seeing a red cup right now. Oh, you love red cups, don't you, Scott? I'm seeing a red cup, and basically it's a green cup. Okay, Scott's seeing a green cup. Okay, so now you want to talk about what is that sense of seeing a green cup. Well, fine, we'll do that, but we can only do it up here in the third person. Okay, we have to figure out how a brain gives you that feeling of seeing a red cup. So now we've taken this item and we've moved it above that line, and now we can talk about it. We can't talk about Scott's fucking subjective experience. Fuck your subjective experience, Scott.
Hell, I don't even like my subjective experience.
No, I know.
Anyway, I'll join in. I don't like it either.
Yeah. So anyway, so you remove it from the conversation down here, and basically you drag it up there. And now, I mean, okay, so JimBob wants to know what is truth under physicalism, right? So A and B, first and foremost under physicalism, are just organisms in the world. So that means that they are somewhere. They are somewhere in the world. So they're in this coordinate system, right? We can have like a little coordinate system. I actually have the coordinate system in the background.
Why are you drawing a graph when your
I know
this is literally a graph?
I know. I thought somebody was going to complain about that. I didn't think it was going to be you, Scott. You broke my heart, Scott.
To Scott.
You want
all that technology wasted.
Yeah. Anyway, so these things are somewhere, and we're going to figure out what truth is to an organism, basically. So okay, but truth always happens in relation to something that is happening with these guys up here, right? And the truth, the thing that I tried to talk about with my little model that I was showing DimBulb was basically, you got a tornado. It's a bad tornado. It's really, that's a good tornado. That's a great tornado. Okay. So you got a tornado, and A and B are in their backyards, three doors down from each other, and they see a tornado, and the tornado is at the edge of town and it's heading their way, right? So truth is, yes, there is a tornado. The tornado exists. We can both see it. It's heading our way. Our trees are starting to bend. It's starting to get really scary out here. Yet we're out here like fucking idiots trying to put it on YouTube, like people do. And so basically, that is a conception of truth. What's happening in the world, currently, like at this point in time, right? Currently. And now human beings with our little brains, we can look to the future, what's going to happen, and we can look to the past and we can say there was a tornado or there will be a tornado or whatever, right? It's a lot more certain that there was a tornado than there will be a tornado, right? So we're a lot easier at predicting things in the future. So what's wrong with that idea of truth? What is happening in the world? I have a cup. That it is true that I have a cup. Do you guys have any pushback on that? Yeah, Swifter.
I too have a cup.
We're Swifter. Okay, Swifter pointed out that it's circular. Not really, because I'm basically.
I think he was talking about something else.
Oh, somebody
There's
else.
a whole argument that has nothing to do with what we're doing going on in the side chat.
What's going on out there?
Well, for one thing, old Joe came on here to say hi and please invite JimBob onto the stream, which is kind of odd. Why are you here, Joe? If all you want to do is say, do something nice for Bob or JimBob, it's kind of weird. But anyway, other than that, I mean, you're welcome here, old Joe. It's just kind of odd. Why are you here if all you're doing is trying to get somebody onto a stream? But Math Pig's here. Math Pig, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I banned Danny. I banned a few porn bombers and crazy people. I banned Danny something like 134 times with different sock puppets. I don't know. Is Mike true or false? James wants to know. Ha.
Well, there's a sense where you can call somebody true, but it has to do with how loyal they are. So, but see, once again, we're playing word games here. That's not the connotation that is meant when you make statements and propositions about things like that car is true is just kind of a nonsense statement. But
James, I just put the link out in our private messages for you. If you can get it from messages, I'm not sure if you can. Andrew Cumming. Oh, we were going to go over that Andrew video too, maybe if we get time or I have the energy. So the Andrew JimBob video, Evolution Boy, BOI. Let's see. Roller computer. Okay, world. You would simply point out the performative contradiction and win that battle of worldviews. So who's he talking to? What are you guys talking about?
I don't know, but like I said, it's a totally different conversation.
As a leading atheist presuppositional apologist, I think the most important thing that we can point out is that the theist making knowledge claims is committing a performative contradiction. Huh.
I dropped it in your Facebook too, James, if that's easier for you.
Yeah. Yep. And then once you win the worldview battle, you'll be looking to adopt a worldview, so give them yours. Anyway, I just find physical, like there's a couple of ways to, like you can take anything, like a proposition, right? And you can figure out what that is. And you can look at justified true belief, which JTB, which is what epistemologists have been fighting over forever. Fucking epistemologists, the reason they fight is because they're constantly down here below the line. They won't take physicalism at face value. They refuse that. They'll start asking you questions like, how can you trust your senses? How do you know anything at all? How do you know you're not a brain in a vat? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll find greedy counterfactuals is what Dan Dennett calls it. So I just say, fuck it. That's not how I think, right? I provisionally accept physicalism. And then I try to see if I can figure out how all of this stuff works. And I study something called neuroscience. And that's where I find most of it. So if I want to figure out whether abstract objects exist, then I just get my model out here and I try to run it through like, okay, A is thinking about an abstract object, the number 2, right? Well, now we go back and we look at, well, how did A come to the idea when he was a zygote about the number 2, right? What happened to A in between here that made him think of the number 2? And probably his mom gave him 2 cookies, and he gave his brother 3 cookies, and he came up with a little bit of a sense of what a number 2 is. So in that sense, because there can be 2 cookies in the room, and there could be 3 cookies in the room, I would say that the number 2 is an abstract or an abstract object that does exist in physicality, right? There's a physical reference to it, and we can get into that a little bit. But anyway, so all of this stuff ends up being, let me see here. So that's kind of what the model looks like. We got to get rid of the hide this message here. And it's basically down below we have C and D. C and D are going to talk about all this stuff that affects them, that they want to understand, that they want to talk about. And then we're going to create a model up here in the orange, and we are only going to talk about physicality in that model. And everything must be physical. So if you're going to talk about something, you have to have a physical reason for it, or you have to reduce it to something physical. Now, you don't have to reduce it to chemicals or atoms or just physics, okay, because that's reducing too far. You're just going to reduce truth to what we can talk about and what we can know about between us, what we can understand as what we mean by truth. It is brutally important.
That's one of the talks that I watched where they were talking about they're so worried about looking inward that they're not stepping back and seeing the big micro picture.
There you go. Yeah. And I call this God's eye view, GEV. And what that means is that for the moment, we have taken ourselves out of that universe, and we're standing and we're looking into it from outside. And if we could actually do that, we'd be gods, right? But we're not. But anyway, so it's a God's eye view. It is brutally important that for everything we find in the lower level that we question, that we then move it to the level above and treat it. So basically, you treat everything from a physicalist point of view. And boy, when you think about philosophical problems this way, they just dissolve like fucking Jello on a hot tin roof. they just fall away, and it just makes sense. Justified true belief, is A justified in thinking that there is a tornado in town, and you could look at why would A be justified? Internal critique of review. Yeah, JimBob's here. Swifter, yes, the internal critique of a view that claims propositions are objects. Well, okay, how would a proposition be an object? Okay. That would be interesting. Okay, so A has a proposition. There is a tornado at the edge of town. Okay. So something is happening in A's brain. Okay, A has seen a tornado. A looks away from the window, and that tornado is still working in his visual system. So in a sense, he has a representation of a tornado, and he saw it coming, and he has a good sense of time because organisms can do that. That's how organisms work. They know what's happening right now. And he turns to run to the basement because his proposition is true. Is there a tornado in my backyard? And now later on, A could go to logic class, and A could be thinking about that proposition. And then A could actually write it down on a piece of paper. And he could say, basically, X is happening in my backyard. Let's see. So it would be, backyard X, I think. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so I mean that's what we do. We take things and we conceptualize. And I know about some of the brain regions that do that, and everything just kind of falls into physicalism for me. So no.
However, if there's a better method it could always be presented. That's,
Yeah.
you know,
Leo's lying to old Joe. He's lying. God, Leo, come on. You're in Iowa. You're from Iowa. I don't know, man.
Didn't they secede?
Yeah, they should. We want them to. I drove through that a couple of times, and I'm telling you, I got so sick of cornfields. So fucking sick of cornfields and dead deer on the road. They don't pick up their dead deer on the road. They just keep running over them until they become part of the road.
That's the mayflies out there by the lake when they come out. They become part of the pavement. Out there.
Part of the pavement. Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of my pitch for how I do things. And the problem with Made by JimBob is he wanted to keep going meta, and how do you know truth, and how do you explain this, blah blah blah, and never giving you an opportunity to actually go ahead and show you what physicalism would say about truth. And he wants to reduce everything to chemicals. Like, okay, so A has a proposition that there's a tornado in his backyard, and he's turning away from his window, and he's running for the basement. Okay, there's obviously a proposition in A's mind. That he's running away, right? Let's reduce that to chemicals. Let's reduce it to sodium chloride and sodium ions and potassium ions. And yeah, I can do that for you, but it's going to take a long fucking time to reduce from this, this thing that we all know happens in people's lives. We know there are tornadoes. We know people have run from the windows screaming and ran down the basement. Basically, if you want to take that and turn that into chemicals, well, then we're going to have to dissect this little guy. We're going to have to kill him. Probably maybe we'll just anesthetize him, and we'll dig into his brain, and we'll start finding all the neurons, and we'll do some CAT scans, blah blah blah, and we're going to reduce it to chemicals. Unfortunately, there are in the human cortex, think about 20 billion fucking neurons. We're going to have to reduce every one of them, and it's going to take us a long time. So does any of this make sense on how to look at physicalism? Silence. Are you guys muted?
Yeah, I've been looking at chat and looking at other things. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Everybody needs to work through their own particular brand of physicalism, it seems, because there's so many different things that are labeled physicalism or naturalism.
Yeah, we saw that with Stoljar's book, right? Where he goes on.
And I don't see, adding supernatural things that it makes the explanation any better. So,
if you need to do special pleading for the only physical object that needs to be truth, apt, and contract, what the fuck are you talking about, JimBob? That doesn't even make any sense. He's babbling.
I talk to the supernatural a lot and about a lot of different supernatural things, and I often say, they say, well, you can't test it with the scientific method, and it's like, well, then you need to provide another method, and we'll check it out.
Yeah, I don't understand theories of mental content, therefore physicalism is false. Yeah, it takes a while to understand the theories of mental content and how it can be about something, right? How an organism can develop that. But, as adults, we all know that we're human beings, right? We just accept that. And we all know that we have bodies. And we know that those bodies fall apart. They get diseases. They have to eat. They breathe. Have to keep breathing. The heart has to keep it. We know all this shit as adults. So let's apply it. Let's look at it. And we know that we're physical entities. I challenge any of them to show me the supernatural part. And they'll say, oh, well, I have a mental idea, and it's obviously supernatural. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I know what those mental ideas look like in the brain. So you go fuck yourselves. The evaluation of a prop is also a
imagination is great, but just because you have an imagination doesn't mean you can demonstrate that things in your imagination exist.
Yeah.
I love imagination. I think it's a great thing that we have in our brain that we can just, you know, if you have nothing better to do, close your eyes and imagine something. You know, you can entertain yourself. It's awesome, but it doesn't materialize anywhere.
So now he wants to say that evaluation of a prop. So now he wants to talk about how do you evaluate a prop, right? How do we do this? We have a proposition. So Mr. A is running from the tornado, screaming his head off, running for the basement, right? Is he evaluating a proposition at that point? He obviously has a proposition somewhere in his mind in some form. So JimBob, is he evaluating a proposition as he's running down the basement? I think he already evaluated. I think he made a knee-jerk, real quick evaluation when he saw the tornado heading his way.
That's what you call a non-thinker.
Yeah.
It didn't take any thinking.
Didn't take any thinking. No brainer.
No brainer. There you go. That's a no brainer.
Objects evaluating objects. Yes, JimBob. Okay, there you go. We have a tornado here. Okay, here's a tornado. Okay, here's A and B. They're looking at the goddamn tornado. They can see the tornado coming. Okay, so yeah, the referent is the tornado. That's kind of what they're thinking about. This is the thing we're concerned about. And these guys have some state in their brain, basically, that remembers. They have the neural patterning that tells them danger, tornado coming. You know, that sort of thing. I mean, what's so difficult to understand about this?
And speaking of tornadoes and storms, Scott, everything okay down there? I heard there was you had some bad storms down there.
Well, we did have some weather yesterday here, but at my location. But yeah, there was some stormy weather, but I was unaware of it. So it must have been closer to Dallas or something like that.
I heard, some people were killed. So
yeah.
When you hear something happen in Texas, you may as well, you know, you got to understand Texas is about as big as your average galaxy. So,
well, the storms are bigger there too. So you know,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they could cover it.
I'm glad everything's okay by you, Scott. So,
hi, James. James is here.
Hey there, guys. How are you?
Hi, James.
Hello, James. Good to hear you from you.
We're talking about my silly, simplistic idea of physicalism.
Well, I too am a physicalist, so there's that.
So JimBob wants to know, how did you determine a reaction to stimuli from evaluation? Biology? You heard of biology there, JimBob? We know a lot about these things above the line, A and B. We know they're organisms. How did you determine a reaction?
I mean, it sounds like he's asking, how does science work?
I know. Yeah, he doesn't get it. He's not getting this yet. He doesn't understand this provisional assumption business.
I'm going to step away. I have some dogs to attend to.
Oh no! Don't do it, Scott. You've been watching that governor video.
Governor who?
Governor Nome. She has a whole dog training video.
Oh.
Yeah, from South Dakota. Yeah, I'm just telling Scott, no, don't do it.
Went over my head a little bit. No, I was listening to the fiasco in the congressional hearing thing that was going on yesterday, where they were all making digs at each other and.
See, JimBob's acting. Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
Marjorie Taylor Greene made fun of the one woman's eyelashes they were some of her fake eyelashes, and she threw back some about, "I'll eat your nasty booty, manly looking self," or something.
Oh my god! Yeah,
bleach blonde, manly looking something or other.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is like a Karen broke into Congress. I don't know how that happened.
Well, that's all. That's all she was doing. She just kept interrupting. Every time they said something, she was just just yelling stuff. And
See, Jim,
it was funny. It was funny.
JimBob is so ignorant that he asks, how is a normative process not a reaction to stimuli? Your questions don't even make sense. You haven't even started to think about this stuff in any way at all. Oh my God! So he elaborates here. I'm glad JimBob's with us. I like him.
There is no meat in this word salad.
There's something in your question that is profound, and I'm struggling to quantify it. I believe you might be pointing in a way to a false pattern recognition, a corruption of data. I don't know what the hell those guys are talking about. Anyway, back to JimBob. How did you determine the difference between a reaction to stimuli and an evaluation? Oh my God, what the fuck, JimBob? Talk about losing the fucking plot, Biology, habab, both are biological from a physical view. Yes, they are biological, but they're different biology, right? So, I mean, all these things like the tornado is just physical stuff, and A and B, the organisms, are just physical stuff. But I assume you understand that a tornado is not the same as two human beings.
Isn't that some of that stuff what they call like your lizard brain, where it's just, it's hot, or you know what I mean? Things that are just there automatically. So
yeah,
I mean before talking about the tornadoes, before you have a tornado, we've had them here before. Everything goes quiet. All the animals seem to know it's coming, right? They're all taking cover. So it doesn't take much mind to know, hey, you know what I mean? That sky don't look right, and to take cover. So I don't think it would take complex thinking at all.
Yeah.
The crickets know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 So,
there's a lot of things that we just react without verbalizing things when a ball is heading for our head or something like that. We don't need to go to the point where we verbalize a proposition or create a logical diagram or a two-premise dumb argument, Premise 1, the baseball is heading toward my head. Premise 2, my head is soft. Premise, conclusion, run like hell. Duck. We don't do that. That's not how organisms work. Let's see. What is, I'm trying to figure out what Andrew said that confused old Joe. I guess with certain physical theories today, where's the line between theory, connection, revision, and adding too many ad hoc mechanisms? Okay. That's the thing about Scott, when we were reading Stoljar, he goes on about the problem of, physics not being a finalized theory yet. We don't know what the bottom turtle is. So when you say you're a physicalism and that there's a number of different ways you can approach that. And he goes on and on. Like some people will say, well, I'm a physicalist because I believe everything is the future theory of physicalism that is finalized. Or some people will say, I believe that it's the current physical theory. And they go on and on and on. And at some point, both Scott and I abandoned chapter 4, I think, right, Scott? Scott's still tending his dogs.
No, I was just thinking Stoljar is just such a lousy read.
Yeah, but he's a really good thinker, and he's pretty well read. That book is respected.
I just don't know where he's coming from. I think he's coming from a place that maybe people who are, have been formally trained in philosophy are trained in, and they appreciate. But I'm just kind of doing the best I can with what I've got, and I don't have the background that a lot of people do. Plus, he's evaluating points of view that were, made, probably in the 19th and early 20th centuries. So things have moved on, and so where the questions you address initially from a 19th century point of view are a little bit different from today. So I don't know. I don't know why I'm having trouble getting into the book. It's just not telling me what I need to know.
I think it gets better later. So maybe we should skip a few chapters and then read back.
Yeah, and I need to get I need to sleep better at night too, because I kept finding the temptation to go to sleep very hard.
What's normative about a process? Normative is just
some rule-based, like physical.
Yeah, formal rule. I don't.
Yeah, but you see, okay.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. What happened to you put Mr. Anderson?
Like I say, some things are just like I say. It doesn't take a complex brain or complex thought to figure out. Like I said, the bugs know a storm's coming, so I don't know why it has to be all this anything special. It just seems again trying to add things that aren't necessary. There's something about living things that we know just by. I knew a storm was coming because, like I said, now it gets quiet, but the sky gets a really funny color, and the signs are there, and you're just like, nature just kind of knows some of these things. I don't know why you got to add all this complex thought into a storm or a blade of grass or anything else.
Yeah. Do crickets have consciousness? I think they do. They have a form, like they are like animate little objects, and their little legs are bobbing up and down, and there's but is there something it is like to be a cricket? Well, in order for there to be something it is like to be a cricket, the cricket would have to be able to introspect on his own goings on, and I doubt crickets do much of that. They're too busy moving their little legs.
Awareness.
Yeah. But I mean, we are like crickets in that we have limbs, and we run across the field, and we move our limbs, and we get all sorts of sensations from those limbs, and something is going on, and we feel something that's pretty complex. And then at some point we can stop, but while we're running, we can say, what is it like to run? And we can do this like introspection thing, and that's where I come up with.
It usually hurts like hell. But please continue.
JimBob says we can't read. It said normative on the thing, man. So I mean, we all read it. So.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to point out
know how to read
what DimBulb is doing here. Basically, I was going to point out. Okay, where was his comment? Leo, you said it's a normative process. Blah blah blah. What does it even mean? Okay. So JimBob wants to go. Okay, so Leo.
Normative. There it is.
Let's go back to my little diagram here. Okay, so basically,
looks like I can read. Imagine that.
What we have down here is Leo and JimBob, right? And they're talking about processes in physics, okay, and reactions and reactions to stimuli. Well, now what JimBob is doing to Leo is he wants to bring him down here and talk about how does Leo know this, right? So he wants to quit talking about physicalism, and now he wants to try to take it to the meta level so that he can presumably win points, which is what the only thing that JimBob does is that he just keeps moving the goalposts, zipping down the fucking field with the goalposts, right? He's going to ask Leo, how do you determine this? How do you determine that? How do you evaluate this? How do you evaluate that? We're not talking about you and Leo. We're talking about these two subjects up here. We're talking about physicalism. Okay, JimBob, it's really fucking simple.
But to be fair, I mean, let's be fair. When he gets to heaven, he can cash in those points at the heaven gift shop for special treasures in heaven.
Does he get? Oh,
yeah. He's scoring points for Jesus, of course. It's like Chuck E. Jesus, except Chuck E. Jesus.
If you look at his chat with all the JimBob comment money that they're sending him, I think he's more interested in cashing real green and not anything. I don't think he's very he hasn't concerned himself with heaven yet, where he's going to have to answer for all of this.
No, I'll admit most Christians would denounce him as somebody that we should not take seriously, but he's just doing him.
Okay, let's keep up the chat here. No problem, Andrew. I thought you answered well. Yeah, old Joe sounds like a little bit rigid for me, old Joe, but you sound like a really rational, kind of neat guy. So
enjoys the attention. Well, has anybody asked JimBob, are you enjoying the attention?
Yeah, there you go.
He eats it up.
Oh yeah, but he just did a big stream. He gets really mad when women say I have an opinion, so he did a big stream about some women.
The Prophet Azad totally destroyed JimBob. It was
Yeah, I saw
epic.
that.
It was epic.
And JimBob just completely understood nothing that he said at all.
No, all they were worried about was how far up Zod's sweater was zipped up. That's all they cared about.
Yeah.
Hello, Jefferson Babcock.
Hello, Jefferson.
Yeah, and then he lost his shit when Zod went off on his haircut. Right? Oh, my wife likes it. My wife likes my hair like this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but wouldn't that be a woman having an opinion, JimBob?
that thing dangling and sticking up in this thing and everything. And I think Deconverted Man said something about, don't put the white screen when it just looks dumb.
Man, I'm losing control of chat here. I don't know how far I gotta go here, Andrew. I'm trying.
Mr. Anderson is in the chat.
I don't think chat is something that's intended to be controlled.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to keep up with it.
Oh, you're not going to be able to do that.
That's why you pass out wrenches. Remember?
Yeah, no. There's probably a spectrum. Consciousness is definitely a spectrum. The consciousness is like a suitcase word. Everybody has. What we mean is, if I say I'm conscious, like most of my life before I started studying consciousness, when I said I was conscious, that means that I got out of bed in the morning and I was walking around and I could respond to you, right? That's what the average person, I think, considers consciousness. So, like, of course I'm conscious. I haven't had much to drink today. I'm very conscious. Anyway, I didn't ask what normative is, you stupid fox. Okay, ask what normative. I didn't ask what normative, you stupid. That's not a sentence, JimBob. Not a sentence.
And he did say normative. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's slipping.
Maybe I didn't ask what normative is. Okay, I don't know. No, we didn't think you did.
Well, you know what happens with old records, don't you, Speed? They skip.
Oh, they skip. Yeah.
Today I learned that fuck is a noun.
It's more than that. Haven't you ever seen the Osho video?
Yeah.
Look up Osho with the word F, and it's very entertaining. All the ways that you can use the F word. It's a good laugh.
Yeah.
JimBob, fuck this. Oh, you've heard enough, hey, JimBob?
No.
We really want you to self-reflect on some of your arguments and understand when you're moving the goalposts and when you're crossing those category lines, which you're constantly doing. This right here, this is a fucking category division, right? We're talking in the third person about organisms and physicalism, and you want to keep talking about how do you evaluate that, and going back to the person that you're arguing with and trying to get into some folk psychology and whatever, which should not ever cross that fucking line. And that's, you need to learn, you need to get better at what you're doing if you want to become a real presuppositionalist or whatever or preacher or whatever the hell you're trying to do. I mean, Jesus.
Maybe flurfer. He flirts with the flurfers too. So.
We should put the link out. Answers in Atheism. The point is that if there needs to be a metaphysical soul that can make decisions in order for there to be any knowledge, and that is something only humans have, then, okay, it's continued to be continued. Where's it continued? Come on now. Oh, then.
See, and Mr. Anderson is really into the dramatic. He really loves to, bring you to a point where you're hanging on, and then he makes you wait. And then boom, he comes in for the kill.
Yeah, exactly. So how do animals learn? Because obviously they don't have a soul. So, and they learn. So last night's snack was on the top floor of the Kitty Hotel, and I saw a mouse come out of my lab and run across the floor, and all I said is "Mousy," and Snack immediately leapt down, got on the floor with me. We were both on our hands and knees. Well, he doesn't have hands, he's got legs, but we were walking around looking for the mouse, and I was turning things over for him, and he immediately knew that. So he learned the word mousy, and he's only two. He's going to be 2 years old on June 4th. How did he learn that without a soul?
He's demonic. He's filled with the devil.
How does the super, like, I have a good definition of supernatural that I came up with, and that is that it would be a radical break in the regularity of physical laws, that something would transport from one room to the other instantaneously, or there would be some spooky ephemeral vision of my grandma creeping up at the foot of my bed, crawling over me.
TMI.
Oh yeah, that happened, man.
Would those exceptions be regular to the point where you could basically predict the conditions under which they can occur? In which case, they're no longer supernatural. They're just maybe an exception, to particular models. But then they become regular and manipulable, and the supernatural is just really. I mean, it's a useless term, Yeah,
it is.
There's no need for it, and you're not going to have it once you understand it.
I don't have a bad faith.
Something you don't understand, then what's the point of applying philosophy to it?
I don't have a bad faith. I hail Bigfoot. I think it's a great faith.
But the thing I always want people that talk about the supernatural to do is tell me specifically some stories about what you think supernatural is. And what you always come up with is some human being that doesn't have a body moving around in the room, or you have teleportation, or it's always about some human story, like a narrative or a fiction, right? And it falls along the lines of fictions that humans have had in their culture for a very long time, that there's something supernatural. And it's always about a human story, and it always has to do with a mind doing something. Like the ghost has a mind, right? It has will. God has a will. The thunder god has a will when he creates the thunderstorm. It always falls along the line of a human being imagining themselves outside of physical constraints and doing something with their will or their mind. So when you get right down to it, supernatural is just the silly goddamn stories we tell ourselves around the campfire, like Bigfoot and Dogman. Sorry, Dave.
Well, and again, I think that's great. I think an imagination is great, and imaginations often lead, I wouldn't say often, let's say sometimes imaginations lead to, great inventions and stuff. Somebody was just sitting there thinking, it's got to be an easier way to do this, right? Mm-hmm. So, imagination's great, but people, we run around with a lot of these different things, not just the religious, but, I run around with a lot of the other supernatural beliefs. And just because you believe it doesn't mean it's real. Just because you want it to be real doesn't mean it's real. And your argument of, I believe it's real, falls a little flat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, JimBob really does demonstrate those fruits of the spirit, man. He really shows us what a Christian should be like.
It's like talking to Praise I Am. I had one run-in with him, and, I can string some words together when I stub my toe, but it's not in everyday conversation, And it was like, that was the last time I ever wanted to talk with him again. It was just, Joe Christian. What a mouth. What a mouth. And I'm watching my mouth on my channel. Give me a break.
Do lizards have metaphysical minds? I'm gonna miss a few chats. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta get to the bottom of chat.
Well, we were talking about that before, Mike, about what are these different things? Are they thinking about something when they're not eating and reproducing and stuff? When the cricket is just sitting there on a rock out in front of my house. What is there anything going on there?
Not with a cricket, but if you have a raccoon sitting out there, he's thinking about how to get into your garbage can.
Yeah,
probably thinking. There was some. I saw something about somebody was talking about raccoons. They're apparently learning more and more things about like how to get into garbage cans, They've certainly.
Well,
done that
I
with
sent you that video that time. Remember
Oh,
where he
yeah,
was in the
Best
dumpster
engineers on it.
and he put the boards up there and made like a little ladder so he could
Oh,
climb
yeah.
out of the dumpster. Yeah, that's problem solving.
Raccoons
Yeah, well-
are amazing engineers. In fact, I bet if we put them in charge of U.S. infrastructure, it would be like the best in the world.
The bridges wouldn't collapse. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as long as they get in charge of the budget.
The trains would run on time.
Right.
Stay on the tracks. They just had a couple more derail. It's like, gee whiz, they're talking about high speed rail. We can't keep low speed rail on the tracks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would be afraid to get on a 600 mile.
Well,
per hour
high speed rail runs on different kind of tracks. Like if you're talking about
Yeah,
magnetic
obviously,
levitation,
yeah.
Andrew Cumming just came up with the coolest title of a philosophical book that I have ever seen in my life. Raccoons and Metaphysical
Yeah.
Mind. Somebody? All right. Speed, we're writing a book. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're taking volunteers.
Copyright it. Get it copyrighted.
Oh God, that would be a
it would
bestseller.
sell well.
People
It would sell
fucking
well.
love
I don't care what
Raccoons.
anybody says.
Yeah,
People would buy the fuck out of that book.
yeah. Had a dog once that seemed to have moods. Yeah, they definitely have moods. Could you
Oh,
remember things? Yeah, and so
Oh,
that-
yeah.
So do cats.
yeah.
And I would say
Yeah,
a
my
lot of
dog
other
spent
animals.
my dog spent like a month running into the house expecting to see his brother that we had to put to sleep. I mean, he would run in and look around, and he did it day after day after day. He just couldn't understand, where's he at? Where's he at?
God, I saw
He was thinking something.
we had 2 Saint Bernards, and one of them, like a 230-pound Saint Bernard, got hit by a semi out on the highway.
Oh,
And I brought him home and put him on the lawn because I had to bury him, and burying that size dog is going to take
Not
a while.
easy.
And the other
Mhm.
Saint Bernard, I saw him out there, and he was grabbing him by the fur, trying to drag him around to get him to move. It was the saddest thing I've ever seen. And he was like frantic, and he kept trying to drag him around and wake up, get up. It's like, oh my God, that was a horrifying. That is a horrifying memory. I don't know if I should have even told you guys about that one.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
By the
It's all
way,
good.
Speed, are you the one that came up with DimBulb?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Scott came up with JimBob.
JimBob.
I like Jim Knob. I like Jim Knob.
Jim Knob's good. Okay, that's Dave's. Okay, you got one, Leo? It really
No,
is.
I just call him like Jimmy Bobber
Jimmy Bobber. Jimmy Bob.
or Jimbo Bob or like just weird shit like that. The same
Jim Sue
dumb
Bob.
hick names that he insults.
Yeah, the further south you are, the more names you add. So Jim Sue Bob.
hey, Speed, do you have any interest in pinning that link?
Oh shit, where is that? Did
It's labeled 1555 according to my.
John Fetterman is a disappointment.
I meant to pin it and I didn't. Okay. And then I wanted to point out one more thing before we get off on whatever, and that is that I have this idea of basically I came up with this idea of ribbons, and it's real simple. Okay, you have the physical, you have what we know that's going on in the physical world, and then we have what we can sense. You know, we have this heterophenomenology, this looking inward, subjective things that we want to talk about. And what you end up with is you end up with a timeline. Okay, that these are timelines. So we can put events that happen physically, the tornado coming and all that bullshit, and then we can start to flush in what's happening in the mind when this stuff is happening in the world. And it kind of looks like this. Like you got the physical description on the bottom now, CT, MRI, whatever we know about the brain, right?
Wait, hold up. What's enteroception? I know propio, but what's enteroception?
That's your sense of your gut and your breathing and your oxygenation and all that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes up, into your brainstem where you get all sorts.
Yeah,
of
there's a lot more senses than the 5. I know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's about probably 24 of them. But anyway, so like the first line up here on this ribbon is where you're seeing red, where a red thing comes into your field of vision, right? And then about 200 milliseconds later, you start to complex it with second order associations, and your thalamus is really cool. It's like it starts out with a real wide broadband, and it sees this red thing, and then it goes down and says, oh, red cup, and then it says, oh, red coffee cup, and it keeps getting narrower and narrower. And they can actually track that, and it takes 200-300 milliseconds for each stage, and they can look at the thalamus, and what the thalamus does is it inhibits the broader area, and it starts to focus and get down into a tight little circle where you're thinking about, like you see first of all, you'll see a sign, red sign, word stop sign, hit the brake. And it happens in succession, and they've been able to track that, and it all happens in your thalamus, which is also the thing, by the way, that shuts down when you have sleep paralysis. Okay, and then you go on, and then at some point over here, the red sensation stops, and then you stop seeing it, but now you still have these complexes of second order association. But if you take every experience that you have and you start mapping it out very carefully physically and looking at neuroscience, you can learn a fuck ton about what is really going on in your subjective experience. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And I'm done now with that shit.
Do we know what part of the brain turns you off when you're sleeping?
Thalamus.
That's the thalamus.
It comes from your brainstem. Your pineal gland and your brainstem start to send signals out to start to shut your thalamus down. And what they do is they make your thalamus so that it's noisy, or there's a rhythm going on. And because there's a loud rhythm going on in your thalamus, like a real regular wave, and it gets kind of regular, and it cuts out all of the noisy signals that are coming in from your body, and it shuts those off. But if there's an extremely loud signal, it will actually get through to the thalamus, and it will wake you up. So that's why somebody, drops a fucking anvil on your nightstand.
That's going through your fucking floor.
You wake up. Well, it would wake you up.
What the fuck was that?
But the interesting thing is we can always come up with that physical neuroscientific story for any of these subjective experiences, and it sheds light on what we are experiencing. And if you do it often enough, you start to ask yourself, why the fuck wouldn't a physical thing as complicated as my brain be conscious? It's like, of course it's conscious. It has to be. It's just like, I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, I sort of agree with this idea that, like, there's so much information coming into the brain at one time, and then there's the information that sort of just sits internal to the brain, and then the ways in which the brain can integrate this information. Yeah, I'm not surprised that we have a notion of a self.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is that, like, 10% of the signals that are happening in your visual cortex are the signals coming from your eyes. 90% of the signals are coming back from other parts of your brain. So as you're seeing something, you're also contributing with all of your past experience with that object, and you're projecting it back onto your visual area. And they can even do a brain scan where they can kind of put together roughly what you're thinking about, what you're imagining. Like I think they had a guy in Japan who was imagining an airplane or something. They were able to actually see an outline of it in his visual cortex because he was projecting backwards. Okay, those are called afferents to your visual system. The things that they'd be feedback, that sort of thing, I guess. Got Hank Aflamio. Oh no, Hank, we're not going to talk about your idea. Let Hank in?
No, not really. Unless he wants
Hank,
to talk about something other than whatever the fuck this thing that he has going on is.
I know.
What's Andrew got to say?
Yeah, what does Andrew have? Oh, Evolution Boy. Evolution Boy.
What are we talking about? Boy.
What's that?
Jay Patrick is chiding us.
Okay. Which one of us is going to do it now, Scott? I did it.
Going to show his.
Jinx.
It was already showing. That's the thing. It was already showing on the screen, yet you clicked on it anyway.
There's a little bit of a delay, on the internet. I heard this a channel to go to watch a bunch of atheists punch down on another amateur. Yeah, we are punching down. It really is sad. Maybe I apologize to on one of his chats, I think yesterday, that I'm sorry I've been so mean to you. You are so clueless.
There's low hanging fruit, and there's fruit that's already fallen on the ground, and it's kind of almost gone. Yeah, almost gone. So.
Oh, there was a point there where he was calling me old balls. Old balls. What are you doing on the internet? You just want to hang out with young kids. Old balls.
Great insults. Great insults.
Oh, great insult. Yeah. It's like, my balls are older than yours, and they hang down further than yours, dude.
Oh my God! I can't believe Hank Offlameo just said what he said. He said he bought consulting from Kane Baker, professional philosopher. Yeah, I've read a lot of professional philosophers, probably more than exist.
What I bought consulting? What does that mean? There's something I'm missing.
Maybe that's a book.
No, Kane Baker runs the YouTube channel Kane B. He's a philosopher.
Okay.
And he's saying that he bought
consulting from him.
That's what he's saying. I doubt it.
So he hired Kane Baker to consult with him,
I guess,
concerning philosophy of some sort.
I guess.
Well, yeah. There's that paper, the thing about, if you believe in a fictional God or something, then God exists because you believe in something fictional, because fictional thing, I don't know what the fuck.
Oh, fictional things exist.
I know the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie.
If you give a mouse a cookie, there's a book.
If you give a mouse a cookie, I'm probably going to.
You've never heard of that, Steve? The book,
no,
If You Give a Mouse a
Cookie. My cookie.
Give a mouse a cookie.
I'm still working on Everyone Poops. So.
Yeah.
Everybody poops.
Jesse Dollamore today talking about Lauren Boebert. He says, I need to send her some books. Start with Everyone Poops.
Not all.
Followed by the sequel. Men shit themselves
solid
when they
waste
die.
material.
Oh my
So
God.
what Jay is this that has come up on our panel here?
What's that?
I know who Hank Offlameo is, but there's a person named Jay.
It's got to be. I put him in. It's got to be Jay. Hey, Jay.
Yeah,
Is it
I
Jay?
decided. I wanted to see if you guys would let me in if I used Charlie Kirk's face.
I didn't recognize that as Charlie Kirk, but
Okay.
Every time Charlie Kirk defeats a liberal in debate, his face gets a little smaller.
he just
We got a
every
rule
time
on. There's a rule on this
actually,
channel. If your name's Jay, we let you in.
I actually did a stream a while back, and I said, "Who the flip is Charlie Kirk?" Because I kept getting him in my freaking I'd get into like a YouTube Shorts. Next thing I know, like every other short video was like a Charlie Kirk clip, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on with this guy?" And why?
Yeah, that's usually what people say about Charlie Kirk. He's a traditionalist conservative political commentator. He runs Turning Point or TP USA, which is a conservative organization. He helps, I think, organize CPAC. He works with a lot of other conservative people. Gets funded by conservative billionaire mega donors. Like the Koch brothers.
He thinks universities are a joke, but likes to go to universities to basically talk to the college kids and then show exactly how stupid college kids are.
Yeah, to debate me, bro, the college kids.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And like I said, every time he wins one, his face gets a little smaller. If you don't know what I mean, just go look at his face. Look at how small it is. Speed, make that big. There we go. Just tiny fucking face. And it keeps getting smaller.
Except when he smiles, and then it's like all gum.
Yeah. That's so fucking true.
It's like, Jesus.
Oh, let's see what we got here.
Easy there, Freaky Fred. Holy fuck.
There he is. No, where was
We
he?
are triggering Hank's paranoia and delusionalism by leaving him in the in this backstage.
Oh,
So do we
Yeah.
want to let him in, or do we want to
No, I
let him
don't.
go?
Hank was on a couple shows talking about he came on here when he did come on here and he destroyed all our arguments. So I don't know what else he has to say.
Wait a minute. Swifter said reticular activating system. What are you responding to? You can't talk about that around here without. Okay, you're belly.
I have no idea who that Hank person is.
Oh, he already destroyed all our arguments. So
Oh my
you
God!
know,
If you
Then his job is done.
his
okay,
job
he
is
went-
done. There you go. Yeah.
When I first met Hank, he linked me to three guys talking. There was one guy that looked kind of pissed off because he wanted to talk about making better people, and there was another guy that was talking about fucking like the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my life. And Hank was like eating it up. And Hank, that's why I'm not letting you into my room because I saw you on that video. That's why.
I saw him on a couple of videos after he was on here, and he was running around all the channels. And like I say, Hank, you said you destroyed all of our arguments, so I don't know what else you have to say, man.
We just
Really.
want to pretend, Hank. We don't want to really talk about philosophy with you.
Yeah, thing
Well,
that I
I-
never do. Not ever. Not once. Not even once.
And as far as that bizarre statement about wearing philosophy as a beard, you know what I wear as a beard?
A beard.
I wear
A
a
righteous
beard. as a
beard.
A bunch of hair.
Scott- Scott's
And it's
got a
long
righteous
and it's
beard.
scraggly, and I'm thinking about getting it trimmed next decade. So
Am I missing
Maybe I'll
something, or
use
how is that
philosophy
insult
as a-
exactly?
as beard oil,
I don't know.
maybe.
I don't
I
know.
can use philosophy as beard oil, but
Yeah.
no, my
Scott
beard is a beard.
Scott has a great beard, and so
What
You do have a
branch
great
of
beard, Scott.
what branch of philosophy does he like to talk about?
He does
Oh.
not talk about philosophy.
Some weird idea
Oh.
about
That's
if
my
you
question.
believe, if you don't believe in God or you believe in God, you have a fiction of a God in mind, therefore God exists.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
What?
and
What?
there's a fucking philosopher that wrote a paper on it. I'm sure he twisted it around.
That
and
nobody
came up-
has ever quoted and has not been in any way, shape, or
You
form
can
believe-
even
does
acknowledged by other philosophers.
Wouldn't that count for any other concept, like I don't know, Santa Claus, fairies, golems?
Well, there are other worlds that we have constructed, like the Star Trek universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's all sorts of those gaming universes as well. That I know they mostly exist in servers on computers, but there are definitely going to be nerds out there who will come on here and just really lay into us if we get their particular Lord of the Rings universe wrong
I don't
or
care.
something. So there's a kind of existence to things like that, but it's an abstract, conceptual, which is just it's just a different brand of
Nobody cares
existence.
about Lord of the
Somebody-
Copperings.
somebody tried to insult me the other day by saying, "I bet you watch Star Wars." And I'm
What?
like, well, I grew up with Star Wars. I mean, yeah, I remember when it came out.
Well, if you're talking about that new Star Wars shit, no, go fuck yourself. I'm old school.
I don't really into all that. No, but
The
I think
original
I just
watched-
made
Star
the
Wars.
point.
I've
I've seen
I stomach-
6, 7, or 8 of them or whatever. So I mean, a lot of people have in this country.
I stomached through all 8, 9 episodes or whatever of Ashoka. Jesus, that show was boring as fuck.
Can we not talk about Star Wars?
No, he just brought it up. I'm just saying, it's like, yeah, I don't see how that's an insult in any way. I'm just kind of going with that. It's like,
Yeah, I didn't either. I was
Oh,
like,
you-
I said,
are you
well, I've seen most of them, I guess. So.
I'm watching a really good show about Jesus right now called Preacher. I'm just about to start season 3. Who's seen Preacher?
Nope.
the one
Yeah.
from A&E.
It's a Seth Rogen joint.
Yeah,
Yeah, Preacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good show about Christianity.
that's the guy. That guy that wrote that comic, I believe, is the guy that wrote The Boys.
Yeah.
Got boys.
Same person.
But don't talk about comics either.
Wait a minute. Didn't the boys come out yesterday? The new season, didn't it drop on Prime?
No, it's on July.
Oh fuck!
It's not till July.
Oh
Yeah,
I'm
get
not
the
gonna live.
fuck
I
outta
might not
here.
live that
That
long.
shit.
Oh, we've got some real butt hurt here.
You're gonna outlive all of us, Speed.
Yeah, probably.
Dude. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Oh,
Who
Mike's
wants to
gonna-
know those?
Mike's gonna be on here saying, back in my day, I had Scott and Dave and James and Jade,
Yeah, they passed away.
Andrew and Leo, everybody on, and they was telling me this and that. And I said, I know better, and I'm still here, motherfuckers.
What is that claim that Hank just made about there is no other place to put it? What was that?
He's trying to go off about that if you claim to be a monist, then effectively like you would have to deny the idea of abstractions. They would have to be like everything would have to be concrete, which is clearly stupid and not at all true. That's because he doesn't understand the difference between abstract and concrete. I don't know how so many people can misunderstand like one of the most simple things in philosophy. Concrete things are things which stand in causal relations. Abstract things are things which do not stand in causal relations.
Yep.
And there are people who might be, say, a nominalist about abstracta. That is, they just take abstracta to just not even exist.
Basically I believe in the reality of universals and abstracted. So I believe it's a real thing in the universe. That's where we get it from. We get it from something real in the universe called it would be homomorphism rather than isomorphism. And basically there are things in the universe that there are those patterns that repeat themselves, and they're fucking amazing. And if you do a lot of mushrooms, you could see them all at the same time. Okay, that's probably why I believe they're real.
breakfast tacos is in here. Tacos in here giving him his atheist presuppositional argument. That'll get fun.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Okay, Scott, you or me. We think the same. We think the same, Scott. We do. We hit the same quote at the same time.
That's why you're a team. That's why you're a good team. See, you're in the same
simpatico.
There's a good word.
Hey, breakfast tacos. That is a really good one. I like that quote. Special, natural, and special revelation. And yes, all of us from the time we were zygotes have been getting this natural and special revelation, and that's why we're atheists.
I just love that shit that Darth Dawkins puts out there when he says like, oh well, don't you know that like the unit? He's basically saying, don't you know that the world as we observe it, it just basically reveals the nature of God without without ambiguity, basically just clearly and distinctly. I'm like, yes. When I watch a pack of lions rip apart a gazelle, I think, dear God, you are so cool. When I watch a small 3-pound cat whipping around a fucking vole or a mole or a shrew, and it doesn't even need to kill it, it's just killing it for shits and giggles.
No, cats.
That is definitely revealing an all good God to me. Jesus.
Yeah, my cats bring a mouse in and they keep it for like 3-4 days, and that eventually it dies of despair. I watched one. There was nothing wrong with that mouse, and the 3 cats had it in between them, and all of a sudden he just keeled over and dropped dead. And I said, the fucking thing died of despair.
No, this is interesting. Hank says, he responded and says, reject because empiricism contradicts your axiom. The only problem is
but he's
you don't have to be
tacos.
Yeah, you don't have to be an empiricist to be an atheist.
Contradicts your axiom. I don't know.
That's true.
Why does empiricism contradict your axiom? Which axiom? Empiricism is just looking around at shit, man. Just looking at shit. That's empiricism.
That's not what empiricism is.
Well, I think it's, if you really boil it down, we're just looking at stuff.
That's still not, no, that's not what empiricism is.
Okay, what is it?
Here we go.
Here we go. What is empiricism? Yeah.
Empiricism is the idea that put simply, is the idea that there is no a priori knowledge. All knowledge is a posteriori.
Oh, okay. One of those fucking guys.
I mean, that's
And Mike's taking a big dump on epistemology for the win.
One of those fucking guys. Okay. And round. Yeah.
Would that be
Okay.
like
Yeah. That's good.
laws of
empiricism
logic?
isn't very popular in philosophy these days.
That was a
So
good.
it's fine if y'all take a shit on it.
Isn't regular? What is the new one? Like most of them, reliabilism.
You mean I don't know, verificationism maybe?
I like
I
found
think it's, yeah,
heretism.
I think there's reliabilism might be akin to verificationism or something like that. But yeah, I've been hearing about people who hold to reliabilism or being a reliabilist.
Well, reliabilism is more broad in epistemology. It's about how, like, when we come to justification, that if you're a reliabilist, you would believe that a belief is justified if and only if it is produced by some sort of a reliable belief-forming psychological process or something like that.
Okay.
And then verificationism is the idea that something can only be considered true if it can be empirically confirmed or if it follows logically.
Okay.
And I like found heretism as much as I know about it.
Same here. I need to read more on it. But
Yeah.
found
Susan
heretism
Hack-
just like almost seems intuitive to me. It's strange.
Yeah.
Good old Susan Hawk.
Good old Susan.
She's got a couple of other books that look pretty interesting that I'd like to read as well.
Yep. When you don't really agree with coherentism and you don't really agree with foundationalism, take the aspects that you do like and stick them together. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. People do it with ideologies all the fucking time. So
there's a real famous atheist that was going on about Susan Hack and found heretism, and then I met up with him in Austin and tried to have a conversation with him about it, and I think he kind of said that he hadn't really read anything about it or didn't know anything. I don't know.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh, we're not talking about. We're not gonna mention names, man.
No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say names, and I'm not going to say names.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure.
I'm
I know who you're
butthurt.
talking about.
I think Andrew had a question for you, Mike.
Oh, I'm butthurt because he was kind of a dick to me when I went down and met him. Anyway,
Yeah.
Andrew, what's up?
Oh, I had a question for Leo actually about verificationism. I guess compared to
what's down?
empiricism, as you were mentioning earlier, how widely accepted among philosophers is that, relatively speaking? I'm not well versed in philosophical circles. So.
I'm still cutting out. Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Yes.
We hear everything, Leo.
Can
Everything.
you hear us, Leo? Earth to Leo or Heart of
shit.
Earth?
No, give it a second.
Okay.
Darn, just
Takes a while for the internet to get to the country of Iowa.
Insane.
You got to go through a lot of cornfield before they get
It's
down.
all that corn. That corn interferes with the Wi-Fi.
Oh, no, you know what else? You know what else Iowa has? A lot of
It's not-
windmills.
Guys,
And those
it's not the corn. It's all the UFOs that are cloaking above.
No, I think it's
Oh.
the windmills are interfering with the internet signaling because there are a lot of windmills on 35 going down through Iowa. And the windmills we know kill birds, whales, and the internet. Anyway, meant for people to classify themselves. Yeah.
Whales?
Oh yeah, windmills kill whales. Haven't you kept up with President-elect Trump? He insists that they kill. How the fuck do they kill whales again? I don't know what his thinking was on that one.
Well, he said that the sound they make causes cancer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All those birds, those things are chopping up.
Oh, trust me, if you want to get rid of windmills because of birds, then you might as well get rid of cats too while you're at it.
I think cats. Yeah, I think cats do a bit more damage when it comes to the bird
Yeah.
population than windmills.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Now, they're all of a sudden worried about the whales too. But what does a lot of the damage to the whales is when they're doing oil exploration, and they don't have any problem with those huge. Well, it's the huge detonations that they set off when they're exploring.
Interfere with their
radar
echolocation.
bounces and everything.
Okay,
Yep.
I got to defend my cats here. Okay, they get all kinds of kudos when they catch a mouse, and then when they catch a flying mouse and they bring it in, we get all mad at them. It's like, come on,
No,
give 'em a
I wasn't saying.
No, but it's bad. Like,
we
though,
should
it's
get rid
bad,
of
though.
cats. Just that the argumentation there cuts both ways, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Don't,
Well, I
don't
have a
get rid of
cat- I
cats,
have a-
just keep your cats inside.
I have a cat. I have a catio, and the fucking birds should
Catio.
stay out of the catio. So
Can
You
somebody
guys can hear me, right? I think I'm back.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
okay,
Can
Andrew,
I
ask
ask
the-
Andrew
ask
what his
that
question was?
My question was just, you mentioned earlier, Leo, that among philosophers nowadays, empiricism isn't widely held. So compared to that standard, how widely accepted among today's philosophers is verificationism? Just curious.
Not much.
Not much. Okay. I thought it would be higher. Like I said, I'm not well versed in philosophical circles, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I had read somewhere where the amount of the majority of philosophers are starting to lean more towards reliabilism than empiricism or even verificationism. But that was one source that I had read somewhere, and I can't even remember where I read it at. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. It just kind of stuck out because the first time I was really introduced to the concept of reliabilism, I was having a conversation with Cerberus Hex about it.
I wanted to say hi to everybody. There's been a lot of people joining in over on my
Big
channel
Bad Mama.
too. Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
Old Joe's still here.
And I do appreciate your help in the side chat earlier, Leo, just trying to get thoughts about that particular subject, trying to hear different perspectives.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Leo, my brother was saying that you had an interesting. Did it turn into a conversation, or was it kind of like a back and forth? You did a video about correcting JimBob on his issues with physicalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my brother was saying it was pretty interesting because like you were trying to explain a distinction between content and output, and he was like not letting you finish, and like every time it just seemed like he was always trying to cut you off.
Oh yeah.
So
That's his tactic. Why is your brother so much more famous than you?
he I don't know, he can talk better.
How did you know I was talking about you? Anyway, okay. Yeah. Oh, that was low. Anyway.
Thanks. That cut real deep, Mike.
That cut deep, man. I know how brothers are. So
I'm gonna go cry in a corner now.
Okay.
You're gonna have to have an emergency session with your therapist.
That was a fucking dick move, man. That was
I'm gonna. Oh, Mike cut me real deep. I'm gonna go take an edible and take a nap.
Yeah, do it. Take 3 edibles.
Are you
And
kidding me?
call me
I'll be in the emergency room.
Take 3 edibles and call me. Oh, I fucking ate a whole bud one time when I was going to try out basically edibles for
Fuck it.
fucking pain, foot pain. And and my nephew wrongly told me that the bud would not do anything if I ate it. So I cooked it in a cookie. I ate that fucker, and I was like 8 hours hanging onto my pillow begging for the fucking world to stop doing whatever it was doing. Like, fuck. I guess my friend said I did about 50 times what a normal dose was.
What drug was this?
This is a bud. He cooked up a bud.
I ate a bud. I ate a whole fucking huge bud. It
Bud
was
of
a
what?
good cookie, guys. I made it in a chocolate chip cookie.
Like bud of what?
Cannabis.
Bud. Bud.
Cannabis.
Bud.
You,
man.
yeah, you mean
Mary Jane.
the fuck was that? You mean cannabis?
Hot.
Marijuana.
No.
And then I took the other 2 buds and I flushed them down the toilet because I never want to fucking touch that shit again in my life. I will never touch marijuana again in my life after that experience. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm telling you, people that do like 8 grams of mushrooms, they're pussy.
Leo,
fucking marijuana.
That's all I'll say. You don't need no marijuana.
Leo got that shit out 3 seconds faster than I was about to shoot it out there.
Yeah.
What's your max dose with your, what do you call it?
Psilocybin?
Oh, yeah. What do you call it? Heroic. Yeah, thank you, Leo.
Yeah,
heroic. What's your heroic dose, Mike?
8-9 grams.
There's heroic
Holy
doses, but then there's
fuck.
legendary doses, and then after that, there's apothic doses. Do you know what apothic doses are? Oh, fuck. Hold on.
14 grams and up.
I think it would technically be apotheotic doses.
How?
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm still right now. When I get 10 milligram gummies, I still have to split those bitches in half. My tolerance.
Oh my gosh.
I can take like 300, 400 milligrams of CBD at a time, but when it comes to THC, yeah, it's like 5-6 milligrams max, and I'm good.
My wife dices each one what is it? It's 100, so 50 in each square, and yeah, she dices it up into tiny little things for her aches and pains. So
I essentially microdose with it because I've taken a whole 10 before and just gone, nope, that's too much.
I can take a whole 10 and I will feel
she's probably
nothing.
doing 5. She's probably doing 5 maybe or something. Yeah, just a little thingy.
Jay, just last night, guess how much I did in a single gummy?
50.
175.
Holy fuck.
Right.
Oh, I did 200s. It didn't do anything. I'm just not. I'm a smoker.
No, I know people that can swallow 1,000 fucking milligrams in a gummy, and it doesn't.
I've seen that.
My buddy gave me a 200. He said, "This will do you right," and I was like,
And I
"All
think
right."
it has
So
something to do
I
with
ate
the
it, and it's like,
say goodbye like JimBob did.
Digestive tract or something.
Old Joe wants to say goodbye.
Maybe.
How did JimBob say goodbye?
I've never really been a fan of the edibles.
Was swearing.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though, I had a good night's sleep. I will say that.
I don't. Yeah, I don't like smoking it. That's. I don't like this. The smell. It's not really so much because of the smell. I mean, I rent a house, so that's another reason why I don't. But I like the way the edibles kick in more than. And plus, since then, because I smoke cigarettes, I'm more tempted to smoke more cannabis than I should probably be smoking. So the gummies that I get help me to kind of.
That's why you do a bong.
How many milligrams?
Two bongs, and you're like, okay, I'm done. You slide it over back in its nook.
I did my first time doing a bong hit. I was fucked up for 5 hours.
That's
so. How
good.
many milligrams are in like a 2-ounce bud of really good shit, like really good stuff? How many milligrams?
Like 2 ounce. It
2
depends
ounces
on
of flour.
Or well, no, it wouldn't have been 2 ounces. It would have been about 100 grams.
Mike, an average, wouldn't even be that. An average blunt or pre-roll, depending on strain, is anywhere between normally 85 and 100 plus milligrams.
Okay, what is a big bud like? Like if you closed your fingers up about halfway, and the bud was inside your hand. How many grams of that?
Well, it's all about Well, the whole bud doesn't contain any THC. It's only the trichomes that contain the THC. So it's about the trichome content.
And they contain more than just THC as well.
They were there. I'm trying to figure out how many milligrams I took.
I wanted to ask.
Probably too many.
I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk.
You said
that's too many.
Like the way that the edible high comes on better. Do you like how it's one of those where you just are sitting there doing something and you just randomly are like, fuck, I'm high. Because that's what it is for me. I'll just be doing something. Like I'll be typing something or doing something on my computer, and I'll sit there silent for like 10 seconds and just be like, holy fuck, I'm fucking stoned. Oh my God.
I stood up out of my chair and my knees went like sideways and like all like and I fell to the floor and then I crawled to bed. And
when a video is ended and I find myself still staring at the screen, I'm high.
My brother,
I'm just sitting there looking at it. It's like, okay, the video's over, and I'm just sitting there looking at it.
My brother-in-law could still type 150 words a minute stoned.
Holy shit.
I can still type like reasonably fast. I can't type that fast to begin with, but
yeah, he's one of the fastest typers I have ever.
Not to promote drug use in any way, shape, or form to any young people, but it does seem that
no, it's totally cool.
Some cases, people get inspired, and when they're sober, their art or whatever doesn't seem to be as good.
Yeah.
So, well, the best thing is
rock and roll made that point.
The best part of when my brother-in-law would get really high, I'd be
Aerosmith.
I'd be drinking, and he'd get really high, and he was showing me how to like build computers and stuff, and I'm like, hey, I got a question about something. And at that point, he was pretty good and ripped on Jack Daniels and cannabis. So he's sitting there and he's typing away, click, 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 click. I'm like, Mike, I got a question for you. Click, 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 type, 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 click, 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 type, 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 click. Mike, I've got a question for you. Click, 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 type, 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 type. And I go, Mike, I have a question for you. And he just turned his head real slow. What? Like, how the fuck did you move your, like, his head moved like so slow, but his fingers would like lightning fast on the keyboard and shit. I'm like, there's something weird going on here.
Bigfoot's gift to my typing skills was talk to text. I love that.
Oh, my wife uses it all the time, and she fucks it up. Her iPhone, I don't know if it's something about the pitch of her voice or whatever, but I can always tell when she sends me a text to her voice. I'm like, yeah, that's not what you meant to say.
Well, as you correct it, though, it'll learn yes. I don't know what program she's using, but the one I'm using, it learns yes. So the more you use it, the better it gets.
What I used to hate these Unix programmers that worked at this telephone company I consulted for, and I asked them, "How do you do this from the how do you do this from the command line?" And they'd be, "Oh, it's simple," and they go tick, 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 for about 25 minutes, right? They'd be typing some script.
Just reminded me of the first Jurassic Park movie where she's like playing with the computer. This is a Unix system, and now everybody watches. They're like, dated.
Dated, yeah.
So, Mike, what's it like working with a bunch of Unix?
It was really kind of boring.
I like the play on words you're doing there, Leo.
That was a good one, Leo. That was fucking special.
Spatchel.
How about you go shrink hunting, and I will talk to them on panel if I feel like it at Tsunami. What is this Hanks guy's? He seems very defensive or sensitive, or I don't know.
He's obstinate.
He seems very attention seeking right now. He seems like he really wants some attention. I guess that would be a better one.
And I will talk to them on panel.
He goes on lots of other channels. He's not lacking. So
he doesn't go on my channel. I don't think I've ever seen him over in my fucking neck of the woods.
I just stumbled on him. on a couple of different channels. So I imagine he's on more.
I think the last Christian I had on my channel was Otangelo, but I was off air at the time.
That doesn't really count. That doesn't really count.
Well, here's the thing. It was Otangelo and Peter DeTucker. And when you get those two arguing, it doesn't it doesn't fucking stop.
Very badly.
old Kermit the Frog.
The Brazilian Jordan Peterson coming in. Oh my fucking god! I haven't talked to Otangelo in over a year. It's been probably close to 2 years, and I'm fine with that.
Hey, to his credit, his Shroud video went viral. So he got what did we see? Speed almost 500,000 hits he had on it.
Yeah, on the Shroud.
So to his credit, he got a lot of views on it. So
what is it called that there's this huge population of people that so want something supernatural to be found true? They really want. Well, is it like watching Harry Potter?
I call them Christians.
Yeah. You know what the problem is? Okay, Christians say the reason that we don't have the Ark or the cross or all these other artifacts is because God doesn't want us to have them because they'll be worshipped as idols. But the Shroud, you see what I mean? It's like it doesn't even align with their own excuses why we don't find the Ark of the Covenant or anything else. So.
Well, did you guys ever see when Otangelo had the conversation with Darth Dawkins, and Darth Dawkins was basically chewing out Otangelo because he's like, no, that can't be Jesus because Jesus would have had short hair.
That was the earliest thing. A mosaic I found was that they had short hair in it. So because I did a Shroud video, I was proud of it.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes of what was that, John Larroquette show or whatever? He ran this like AA show. Bobcat Goldthwait was on there, and he was sober, and he was talking to him, and Bobcat was doing his Bobcat Goldweight stick, and then he got.
Oh, that's Kennison.
Yeah, then he got drunk. He fell off the wagon, and he talked like a normal person. And John Larroquette said, "Some people need to drink."
How did he do that?
Yeah, he was fucking cool. But he came on as his normal self, which I'd never heard him talk normal before, and he was drunk. And Larroquette says, you need to keep drinking. That was funny as shit. Pretty cool. Some people need to drink.
I can give at Tsunami, I can give all of my worldly possessions to a shrink, and I will still be pathetic and also stupid.
And there's choices too. The singer for Jane's Addiction, his wife, who's some supermodel or something, awful fine, said, "Well, you can either have this or you can have your drugs." And he said, "I think I like this," and he went sober. So,
oh, really? I would have chosen the drugs back then.
I probably would have.
well, he did many years. He did many years of hard drugs.
So was her name Jane, by any chance? Because
that's what I heard Jane says. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway. But when he was geeked, he made some awesome music, and he's another one. Went sober, and do you hear from him anymore?
Yeah. God.
Perry Farrell, the lead singer of Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Awesome. That I you probably know the name of the album. It's an awesome album. Every song on it is just awesome.
The only one I ever liked was the kettle drum version of Jane's that Jane says.
Tsunami.
Oh,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so Tsunami, we did not bring JimBob back. He was just in chat. That was it.
Yeah.
So no, we did not bring him back.
Yeah, I had some live versions and everything, and it's like, yeah, that.
But I would like permission.
Awesome, and then
I would like permission to set up a debate between him and Danny on the existence of God on this.
Who?
Danny.
Why don't I just do that? I'm going to run the same argument Danny is in the same way.
Well, Danny's pretty fucking good at that particular field, I think. I know you're good too, Leo, but Danny, I think, would, because Danny, when he was on JimBob's channel, he was very subdued, and I'd like to see Danny unleashed. Danny unleashed on JimBob would be, and that would have to happen on a different channel. It's the only way it would go well. So,
I got into a conversation with somebody on P-Town's channel about the ontology of God, and that went over like a fucking fart in a car.
A fart where?
Yeah, it was an argument. I was making an argument because I asked her. I said, "Is God a perfect creator?" And then she said, "Yes." And I said, "So he is so to verify or to solidify," I said, "So he is a creator that creates perfectly?" And she goes, "Oh, yes." I said, "So please tell me why there's things that God created where the wheels fell off." And that didn't go very far. Well, human beings have free will. Who made free will? God made free will. Did he make free will perfectly? Okay.
A better way to approach it is just to say, well, God could have created a world, like if you're talking about evil, and they say, well, yeah, but we have free will. God gave us free will, and so we commit these evil acts. It's of our own free will. God's not obligated to, fix it and save the day. And it's like, oh, sure. But, I mean, it's entirely logically possible for God to have created a world where all rational moral agents possess free will and freely choose to never disobey God or never do evil, or you frame it.
Well, I got into a back and forth with Redefined Living one time on a back and forth, and he used a video game as an example, like a video game designer. And I told him, I said, well, now you're getting into something interesting, because let's take the video game Grand Theft Auto. In order for there to be the situation where you hire a prostitute, have sex with her in your car, then when you're done, beat the shit out of her in order to get your money back. That only takes place if the designers allow it to happen in the game. They
Right.
thought it, and that state of affairs can actually happen within this reality. So if you're going to use God as a computer as like a analogous to a computer designer, then all the rape, all the murder, all the evil shit that you're talking about, it had to program for it.
Right.
So he tap danced around that for so long, and you're just missing my point. I'm like, no, I think you kind of trapped yourself with a very bad analogy. So
yeah, you know what the most fun part about Redefined Living is?
he's
He's
obnoxious.
not nearly as brilliant as he thinks he is.
Yeah. And who was the other one? Cornflake or Cornbob or what the fuck's his name? Sunflower.
Oh,
Sunflower.
Cornhole.
Cornflake. I'm
Cornhole.
gonna start calling him that. The next time I see this motherfucker, I'm calling him Cornflake.
What's up there, Olio?
Oh my God. Sunflower is just a real piece of work. He's just so fun to listen to.
I haven't seen that guy around in a while. I got into a really harsh conversation with him one time.
Some of them seem to show up in bursts, and then they quiet down for a little while.
So what the hell happened to John? What the fuck's his name?
John
Maddox.
Who knows?
What happened to him?
He probably got bored. I guarantee that's what it was.
I sent a bunch of emails to him and he never responded. He might have changed his email address, maybe.
He had a regarding Henry moment.
Yeah, or else he's. I checked for arrest records, obituaries. I
think he got bored.
Yeah, what he did is he started setting up like a little table in the park and trying to get atheists to talk to him.
Oh, I remember seeing that. Yeah, didn't go over so well for him, did it?
Right after that, and all he had is a couple theists popped in, and it just didn't go anywhere. And right after that, he shut everything down and he just pulled stakes up and left.
Sounds like somebody else we know too.
It was a grift.
It's like,
The bread has been real quiet too.
Oh, the bread is quiet. Yeah, she got mad at us atheists being mean to her and not converted.
Rebecca.
She didn't get mad at us being mean to her. She got way too much
we wouldn't
flack from
convert.
her
No,
audience. What
God
happened
told
was
her
she
to
got way
convert
too
us.
much flack from her audience for consistently having atheists on, because
Oh,
us
really?
and then Lance and Danny and Nathan and like all these people would hang out on her channel all the time, if you remember. And we're all fucking atheists. And so it was consistently nothing but atheists challenging the worldview. And it was her audience that kept bitching at her because of it.
But it was God's fault because God told her to get the atheists on there to convert us.
Yep.
And then God spoke to her again and said, "You suck at this. Never mind."
No. What he said is they all have learning. I've all given them learning disabilities. It's impossible to retrain.
Yeah.
But with people like John Maddox, I think it's just that he got bored. So like when he kind of first popped up, people would go to his channel and he would go to other people's channels. But then he started, getting into the whole muting everybody that he doesn't agree with and stop going to any channels with people that disagree with them. And so you end up getting trapped in a bubble where almost every single after show he did, it was just the same theists on, and they're all talking about the same thing, or maybe going up against like the same one atheist who wants to come on, which a lot of times was Mark Reed, but he held his own, so more power to him.
Yeah.
And I think he just got bored with it, and so it was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
God, somewhere on this 2 terabyte computer, and I fucking can't find it, is a conversation that they took down that I taped of John Maddox just raging on somebody, and it was just unbelievable.
Oh, he raged on me one time. It
was somebody. I think it was another Christian. He was raging.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Unbelievable.
He's done it multiple times.
He was saying, "I'm coming to get you," and it's all kinds of fucking shit. He was just raging and swearing like crazy. It was on Praise's channel, and I recorded it because I thought they were going to take it down. And the recording is kind of shitty, and I cannot.
Oh, he did that. Oh, he did that with other theists on there.
Yeah, he did on Praise's channel, and then he got into some shit with Smokey, didn't he?
Oh, I can't remember if that happened or
not.
No,
when everything about Smokey first came out, people like Praise and LPP distanced themselves from him.
Yeah, they did pretty fast.
Well, Praise at first didn't. Praise actually
At first, yeah,
told,
you're right.
told his audience that he actually knew all of this stuff because he had talked to Smokey, off air. And then, but whenever he was on his channel live, and people were saying, yeah, there might be this connection between her and this Josh Bell, and this woman's coming on these channels, and she's saying that, yep, I'm the victim of whatever, and then all of a sudden it was like, now it's becoming a problem. And then, but Praise would sit there and defend Smokey. No, that's not Smokey. That's not
Smokey.
him. But in reality, Praise knew it was. He'd already know, because Smokey had told Praise, yeah, that bitch is just out to get me.
Wow.
I remember when all that went down. That was, when the fuck was that?
2 years, I'd say.
No. That, I think it was in early 21.
Really?
No, it's pre-pandemic. Into the
really?
pandemic.
Pre-pandemic. Holy shit.
Was it? I don't think it was.
Well, the court thing happened. When he went to the court, that was in like 2021. But if it was the court thing, I think you're right. I think that was 21 or 22 with the court, when he actually showed up and actually supposedly pled to whatever, and then disappeared.
Yeah, and somebody showed up with him, and they got a picture of it or something. And I don't know. It was just, it was something else. It just makes a lot of sense, because those people in those church communities, they have those young women and young people coming in, and they're mentors, right? And there's just so much shit that goes on. It's just horrible.
Does White Jay live with Aaron Raw and his dogs?
I'm calling you White Jay from now on. I'm sorry.
That's neat. Yeah. I refer to myself at work as the White Jay. But no, just one dog. That was just one dog, and that's my dog. She saw somebody out the window and decided to tell him off.
But another thing I wanted to say is, I'm not saying like that this is a bad thing, because it's not. It's very much a good thing. I'm very pleased with what I've seen. But the changes that I've seen over this community from when I first joined in early mid 2020, I should say, has been incredible.
Good?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it feels like a community. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing.
Well, we don't have
Dave appreciates 305 subs.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
You're White Jay. You don't get to be Jay number 2 until you earn the status. No, by all means, keep referring to me as White Jay. I prefer it.
Oh yeah, okay, Jay Bundy. Okay.
I don't want to be called Jay number 2. That's just poop.
Yeah, you're Jay number 1. You arrived before Bundy did, so.
Yeah, I was here before Bundy.
Yeah, but you're still White Jay.
Yeah, of course. Well, more like Ruddy Jay when you really look at my face. It's all perma-burnt shit from years of sun exposure. Somebody actually asked me that. Are you sure you're not like Indian or something? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, your face is like always red. It's because of years of sun exposure.
Yeah.
And having a father that was basically, white as his pure white as the fallen snow.
Pretty soon the melanoma will set in.
Oh, my dad's had to deal with skin cancer for several years now. He's had it all up and down his forearms, had it all treated and everything.
When I was a little boy, my dad used to take me fishing, and I had to pee the whole time. They wanted me to pee out the back of the boat, and I was too shy to do it. But they would set me out in the fucking sun. And one time I got a blister the size of an apple on my shoulder.
I would have just told him, if you whip it out, the boat will sink.
Oh yeah.
I got my dad's skin. We could be out all day on the boat. My brother, however, would get bad with blisters and everything.
Oh yeah, I got I was a freckled. My hair was blonde when I was young, and freckles, and I was not to be out in the sun.
I have beautiful golden brown skin. I've only ever had one sunburn, and it was extremely mild.
I remember years ago, my brother and I we'd gone to a pool, or we'd been camping or whatever, and we had blisters on our shoulders, and we put on t-shirts and everything. And
They pop when you put on a jacket.
No. This friend of my sister's walks up to us and she goes, "Hey, how you guys doing?" And she just slaps us both. She takes one hand and slaps it on my brother's shoulder and one on my shoulder.
She did it on purpose, didn't she?
Oh, I think so. Oh, that hurt so bad.
My brother would be physically ill. He'd be in bed, and my mom be putting cold compresses on him, and it was rough. Yeah, but then he had to always have a shirt on going to the pool or anything else.
Yeah, I actually work at a site that's like no shade. I slather with SPF 60. I should have bought stock in sunblock, like, because I have to I wear the UPF 60 sun shirts, the long sleeve shirts all the time. I have to keep my hands covered, wear a boonie hat, broad rim hat, and just I don't like using traditional sunblocks because they don't reflect so much as they absorb. So if you ever look at like your traditional sunblocks and you look at them under an IR, like using an IR camera, it looks like you're putting black paint on your skin. But if you use like the zinc oxide ones and titanium ones, they're more reflective. So I like
zinc oxide is really good.
Yeah, I like it because it reduces the heat that I feel on my skin because it reflects more of that radiation away. So I've almost always, when I go to work, I put it in my hair. So I look like I got white chalk all over my face.
Yeah, because you're white Jay. So
White Jay.
We used to lay out in the sun with the garden hose sprinkling on us.
Yeah,
Jay just bake and bake and bake.
White Jay doesn't like sun. White Jay very much does not like sun.
We had a membership to the pool that the Y had here in town, and it was a big, huge pool. It was a fantastic pool. And we lived there. I mean, it was, we were brown, very, very brown.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of this. We moved out here to California, and I always thought that was kind of interesting.
Weird.
Just like,
your ass be up in Montana, White Jay?
I think that. Well, see, that's the thing. I think Montana actually gets more sun. I think statistically, they get more sunny days than Michigan does.
Really?
Moved to Ireland.
Big sky.
I think I just got to move to Washington State and just say fuck it.
Yeah. Yep. Say, guys, I'm really old and I'm not going to live much longer. So I'd like to end this stream. I got some shit I want to do.
It's not like you got anything else to do, Mike. Come on.
Oh, I got a ribeye steak waiting for me up there.
Oh my fucking God! His go-to excuse. I got a ribeye steak waiting for me.
I gotta go.
Remember what you were saying about not living very long?
Yeah. Maybe there's correlation.
I don't even. Mike's like that. All that fat on the side is for flavor.
Yeah. Yep. I steal the fat off everybody else's fucking plate that they don't eat. I love when my son cuts all the fat off his pork chop and I eat it all.
Oh yeah, I think I can't remember who it was in my they liked it when it was like when it got really cooked because it was like bacon. It's like no, it's nasty.
Well,
when it comes off the grill,
piggity piece.
Yeah, when it comes off the grill, it's real tasty. Yeah. Good talking to you, Leo.
Goodbye, Leo. Anyway, guys, let's end this thing.
Alrighty.
All right.
Before we get into trouble. Okay.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yep. Goodbye.